Okay, so this is part 2 of the telecommunication and building control. So we learn about how data is being transmitted, either is wireless or is wired. And then we learn of different form of communication, either is a one-way or a two-way, simplex or duplex. So we learn about that. The next thing is we need to know is what is the telephone system. So we know the transmission device, how your data is being transmitted. Then the next step is knowing the device that allows the consumer to communicate, which is the telephone device. So basically, telephone device convert sound into effectively human voice lah. So we have our electrical signal being transmitted via cable or wireless. And then when it comes to our analog phone, this phone will be able to convert this electrical signal into sound that is very familiar to us. So this is basically what a telephone device do lah. They receive the electrical signal, and then they convert this electrical signal into sound. And then likewise, it's also able to transfer your voice, convert your voice into electrical signal, and transmit it via cable to the receiving end. So the analog phone is a duplex system, means it's able to transfer and receive signal at the same time. You do not need to switch signal. Okay, so telephone is generally referred as a fixed line, and in major building we all have telephone lah. Telephone is installed into the system for building. For each building we have, and it's designed to serve the lifespan of a building. So why is it designed to serve the lifespan of a building? Because it's some sort of like a requirement lah. In a building, we need some sort of communication devices, and telephone system is one of the telecommunication devices that should be installed in the building. So when you are installing all these devices, for a telephone system, usually this telephone system, they are receiving the information via wire. So with wire, they need to make it look nicer. Usually all this wire, all this cable, they are embedded in the building, which means what I mean by embedded in the building is the wire itself to offer additional protection to nature and to any physical damage, and to make it look nicer and to get it out of the way of us consumer. They are actually planted into the building itself, means they are inside the wall. You will not be able to see them. So you only be able to see just enough for you to access the wire. So it will make the whole thing look nice and neat lah. So you plant them in the building, and that's why they are designed to serve the whole lifespan. So you do not want a quality of a wire to degrade maybe 10 years later. Then you have a huge problem of trying to dig out the wire from the building. So you try to make all this wire connection or even your electricity connection to last at least your whole building lifespan lah. So typically building lifespan is about 100 years, but depending on the building lah. But typically building are designed to last 100 years. More than that, it's time to change a new building lah. Okay, so we have our authority and act and regulation. Everything we do, they have to be an act, so that people don't simply steal, or there's an act to enforce that if you try to steal information, there's a code of practice of responsibility, responsibility. So all these are in place to ensure that there's a procedure to everything. Okay, so in Malaysia, the fixed line telecommunication service is provided mainly by Telecom. So for our phone line, landline, Telecom is a monopoly in Malaysia. So all the telecommunication system have to go through Telecom. That's for our landline lah. So the next is all these five of these act and regulation are used for telecommunication design. So we have Multimedia Act 1998, the BS 6317, BS 6450, and then the BS 6701. So all these are the act that is related to telecommunication, also the MS. So all of these information just for you to know, you won't be tested on the acts and regulation, but this slide here is just to show you that everything that we do, there's an act to it. So this is an act. This is the act and regulation for telecommunication. So just for info lah. Okay, so telephone system. So there's a lot of information here. So it's a convenient setup for in a premise to connect to a public switch telephone system network like PM. And then information. Okay, so this is all general introduction for the telecommunication telephone system. So there are few types of common phone system used in a building. You have your ordinary phone, you have your key phone system, and you have your PBE, which is your private branch exchange. So depending on your requirement, for a normal household, you'll be using an ordinary phone. And then as we require more and more usage of telephone for commercial purpose, then we have to upgrade the telephone system into key phone system or a private branch exchange. So basically, a telephone system is to connect a customer or a consumer to each other or for commercial purpose. So to connect all these, there are wires, there are cables over long distances, which is this part lah. There's long distance service cabling to be provided. So in Malaysia, we have, although not common all over the place, but sometimes in commercial place, you'll be able to see telephone service line or telephone service tower. So this one generally in the old area which has not been developed much, they still have this telephone cable. But now as more and more place is being developed in Malaysia, we like to have all our utilities underground, so you will not be able to see such cable lah. Even our electricity, if it's possible, we also want to plant everything underground. So this will make our development very clean lah. We will not be able to see any wire hanging above our head. So if you go to Bangkok or you go to Thailand, you actually notice that they have a lot of cabling running across their overhead lah, above ground. So in Malaysia, we like to plant everything underground, so it will look neat and nice in our city. Okay, so this is pictures on how the telephone system will look like. So we have cable. We are still using cable to transfer the information. So this is for the first telephone system we have is ordinary phone. So this is for our residential purposes. So an ordinary phone are conventional analog signal phone which connect directly to the trunk line and the public switch telephone network through a network interface device. So we have a network interface device and a analog signal phone. So all of these are connected in place, and then if you have a call coming in, this this device, this setup is only able to attend to only a single call at a time. So this sort of system is what you will have in our house lah. And then for commercial purpose, then you have a key phone system. So we have a centralized control unit, which is called a key system unit. So this key system unit is able to make calls within office extension. So it's like a centralized system which is able to divert call to another person, and then because the different phone in the area is connected via a wire, you can make calls from one intercom to another intercom. So this sort of system is used for commercial purpose. And then key phone system is only able to accommodate up to less than 60 stations, which means there's a limit to how much call they are able to receive. So for a normal typical office that do not rely on telecommunication to do work, they will just adopt this system, which is key phone system. So if you are doing your company is main business is in construction, most probably they will have this key phone system in place to at the admin place to divert the call and to call in between the phone in the system. So one thing about this key phone system is you will require a professional installation and maintenance. So every 6 to 1 year, you're required to ask in a professional to come in to fix a problem. So because this is a central control system, and this unit will be able to control all the phone line, either if you're calling within premises from key phone from one phone to another phone, or you're calling it outside. So you require a central control unit. So this central control unit is actually coded. It's a coded system. So for this key phone system, a professional will have to allow a certain provide you a certain amount of slot, which means that only up to 10 or 50 or maybe 50, depending on the package that you subscribe to, is able to call into your system. So if you have more than that, then the call that's coming into your system or your number will be engaged lah. So this is the idea lah. So for this package is the number of phone line coming into your system is determined by what sort of package you choose lah. And then you require maintenance of installation and maintenance by a professional, because you will not be able to just do it yourself lah. You require sort of maintenance coding and any maintenance of the software update to be able to use this key phone system effectively. So there's a system in place where a call that's coming to this person will not be able to interrupt or be listened in by another person lah. So all of these are standard acts and regulation that the key phone system have to follow. So this system is only for usage of less than 60 stations. Okay, so if you require more than 60 sessions, then you have to use a private branch exchange. So you can route to any voice call managed from station to station, calling, transferring, internal external conferencing, voicemail, music on hold. So actually uh, this function all can be done by this key phone system nowadays. But if you require more than 60, then you have to opt for this private branch exchange. So this system is mostly used by company whose main business is on telecommunication. Okay, so cabling for telecommunication. So usually we use cabling for telephone communication, but now we are not only limiting our choice to telecommunication. So we are allowing cabling for security, computing networking, and also machine. So here it says that voltage and current used are very low, thus it has no direct connection to the main electricity in the building. So if you are using cabling, one of the way for us to transmit the data is through voltage and current. That's why there's this statement here. So it's not very clear in the slides that it's not very clear in the slides how data is being transferred, but data is being transferred through the differentiate of voltage and current. So they have a high and low, and then because of with this high and low, your device will intercept the high and low and transfer it into something useful interpret it into something useful. Okay, so telecommunication cabling should be separated in independent conduits for safety, for reason of safety and to prevent interference. So the reason of safety is you do not want people to tap into it or interference. You do not want people to steal your information. So cable telecommunication cable is very easily interceptable because it's only dealing with high and low current. And this technology has been around for a very long time. So the principle behind intercepting this data is very simple to convert it back into useful data for anyone. So it's for safety reason and to prevent any interference So interference in a case where because this cable is able to carry voltage and current, so if you do not separate it from the main electrical line, electricity if a thunder strikes and there's a surge of electricity, then you if that happens, you will actually burn your devices Your device will overload with current, and then it will short circuit. And then when it short circuit, it will burn up. It will burn your circuit. So once your circuit is burned up, then your device, although on the outside it looks nice, but because the circuit has been burnt out, the device will not function properly. Okay, so this is a cabling, how a cabling is being set up. You have entry point here, and then you will go from here to all the building to be distributed towards the building. Okay, so telecommunication supply cable. So external telecommunication cable may supply a building from overhead or underground. So the latter being standard for new building. So as I said before, in Malaysia, we all our utilities are underground. So this is aesthetic purposes. We do not want everything hanging overhead. So if once everything is embedded in the ground, it will look out. It will be out of sight, and nobody can disturb it. Okay, so here it says put it in the ground, put it in ground. telephone service to large building is provided by underground cable. Okay, so this one is all just additional information. So all utilities, including telephone, are all installed underground. So once it reaches the building, then there will be an opening to wire to route the wire into the building. So once it's wired into the building, only the minimum required export part is exposed, and that they are connected to the devices. So this is a typical supply arrangement. Okay, so so the next part is overhead lah. This is less applicable in Malaysia. You will find that all supply cable in Malaysia is underground. So one of the advantages of one of the few advantages is the cable can be small and cheaper than underground. So why is it smaller and cheaper? Because in underground, you need to provide protection against people excavating the earthwork. So they have when you are embedding a cable underground, there is a few safety requirement that needs to be followed, which means you need to have a thicker cable and then also additional protection. But when you are installing a cable overhead, which means it's above ground, then you do not need all this protection. You can have a smaller and cheaper cable. So this is where overhead cable will have an advantage over underground distribution. So overhead distribution involve a cable along one side of road only. And then the last one is it's convenient to provide additional telephone line to existing dwelling. So for underground distribution, everything have to be planned out. So once you plan out your development of the area, then you have to straight away provide the amount of cable, because you do not want to keep digging into the ground to add more and more cable. Whereas overhead cable can simply just add additional telephone line if there is any new additional people staying at the area. So these are the few advantages. So in times to come, where all the development are planned, then this underground distribution will be better than overhead distribution because we do not want to have it is unsightly to have overhead cable. It's not pleasing to the eye to have a lot of cable where you can view it or over your head. So that's the reason why, for aesthetic purpose, we want to bury all the cable into the ground. So this is an typical arrangement for overhead supply cable. So they will come in from above, and then there will be an opening for the wire. So usually this opening of wire will have a pipe and then it will lead into our devices. Okay, so that's about it. So for security system, this is your CCTV related to your experiment too. So the arrangement of CCTV is about the same with your telecommunication devices. You have a device in which you are able to capture images, and then you have a wire which will be wired to your a network switch. So from this switch, there will be additional wire to your working desktop, your monitor, which you'll be able to monitor your video that you have captured. And then additional wire will be wired to a device, which is a NVR. So this device is where the video is being kept in the data. Okay, so the CCTV comprise of intrusion detection system, comprise of bell or siren, a power supply from main electrical supply, or battery. Usually is both switch and control panel. So for a intrusion detection system, a CCTV is part of an intrusion detection system. Power supply usually comes in both, which means they are supplied by main electricity and there's a backup battery, which is either in the form of battery lah. So power supply for the intrusion detection system, there's usually two power supply, one from the main battery and a backup battery, which is a battery lah, in case the main electricity is cut off. So intrusion detection system works in either two way, which is open circuit or closed circuit. So in an open circuit, when the system is activated, the system will be activated when the wire comes into contact with each other. And then when this happens, the alarm will ring. So likewise, in a closed circuit, if the system, if any of the wiring is cut, and then this will in turn ring the alarm. So there's two configuration to an intrusion detection system for the alarm to bell, either an open circuit or a closed circuit. Essentially, their principle is if you are using a closed circuit, once you close the circuit, the alarm will ring, the bell will ring. But if you're using a open circuit configuration, if the circuit is cut off, then the circuit is set up in such a way that the alarm will ring. So there's two configuration to closed and open circuit. So this is depend on how you want it lah. There's actually two configuration. Okay, so in an intrusion detection system, there are few ways to detect people coming into or people breaking into your building. So one is a close contact sensor, glass break detector. So this one will detect glass breaking and vibration, mechanical motion, if you have any suspension, photoelectric intrusion detector. So this is some sort of like an IR, so infrared. So there's a projected beam. If you were to break the beam, then it will become an open circuit. Then the bell will ring. So this is a photoelectric intrusion detector. And then there's a microwave motion detector for any, if there's any microwave or ultrasonic frequency detected for motion. So all these way are different way intrusion detection system detect intruder coming into an area. So this is not a foolproof method, but it detects intruder coming into your building through strategic places such as window or any opening or staircase. So staircase is where you install if you are really afraid. It's where you install a IR beam detector. So it's a photoelectrical intrusion detector. So usually people break into your house through the window lah. So it's not worth investing thousands of, I don't know about you guys, but to me, if the guy is a thief and you are in a landed house, most probably they will break into your house through the window lah. Unless you are living in a condo, then that will be a different case lah. They have to break in through your door. But usually in a landed house, where you want your intrusion detection device is at your window, your opening, your balcony. You do not want to have, it's not very cost efficient to have a lot of detection device on your door, because the thief themselves also, they will know how to think to not break down a door. A door is very tough to break down. They might as well break your glass and open your window. That will be easier. So a process of how intrusion detection system works is, once they are tipped off that there is a intrusion in your area, they will process, they will send a signal and do three things. So depending on how complicated or how good your system is, the most basic feature of an intrusion detection system is, first, they will sound an alarm. And then second, if your system is very good, they will turn on the light. So your system, essentially your intrusion detection system, is connected to your power supply system. And they are able to send electrical signal to a centralized electrical control system to turn on the light for your whole building. And then thirdly, they can send a signal to the authority lah, so that people have break into your house, either the police or to your central monitoring system. So this, unless you're paying for a very expensive system, you will not have it lah. Instead, if you're only paying for if you do not pay a monthly fee or to a professional, you will not have this sort of system in place. At most, you will have only a sound and alarm system in place features. Okay, so CCTV. So CCTV is what we use to have a visual observation of an area. So it's very popular for bank, states, and military. And nowadays, in Malaysia, there is not much CCTV installed in public places. So in Malaysia, we have more CCTV installed in highway to catch us user lah for saman, which is the AES lah. So CCTV in Malaysia, we still do not have much in place. But if you go towards Western country or particularly China, then you will see a lot of CCTV being installed in place lah. Okay, so so a CCTV consists of camera, display unit, and processing and storing unit. So this is the basic way lah. So how a CCTV is transmitting the data is either through wire or wireless through the internet. So we can have different camera for a different requirement of observation. So we can have a normal camera, a dome camera, or day and night camera. So depending on where this camera is being installed, they need to have some sort of function. If you require observation at night, then you need to have a day and night camera. And if you require a wide range of visual observation, then you want to install a dome camera or 360 camera where you can turn your camera around. And then also, depending on location, if you want to install your camera outside your house or at an area where there's no shelter, then you need to ensure the camera is weatherproof. And finally, for safety reason, if required, you do not want people to compromise the connection of your CCTV, then you might opt for a wireless camera. So different camera has different advantages over each other. Either some of them being able to view motion better than another, or day and night, or they are able to cover bigger area of observation. So all these different function, there's a lot of CCTV out there that provide different function. So why is there such differences? It's because of, to enable the camera to have this sort of feature, they need to build this sort of feature into the camera itself. So because we need to install CCTV at a lot of location and you need to have a lot number of CCTV, you need to choose the appropriate camera for the appropriate function. So this is all dealing with cost lah. So you cannot have all the nice thing in life lah. That's why there's so many different type of function camera with the advantages, with different advantages over each other. So you have to pick and choose the correct camera to be used in what sort of situation you want it to be. So this is the idea behind why there's so many different camera CCTV. Okay, so if you want a CCTV that is able to do everything, then it will be very expensive lah, which is not good lah. So if you invest a lot of money in a CCTV, then it's not good for the budget lah. Okay, so besides the CCTV, you have your display unit and processing and recording unit. So this thing comes hand in hand with the CCTV. You have your monitor to see the display in real time, and then a processing unit or a desktop to store the image. So this one is come hand in hand lah. So all the image that you are capturing using your CCTV, you need a device to store. So in case there's a robbery, you have visualized proof of this event for evidence purpose to file your report. So this thing comes hand in hand with the CCTV lah. You need to have it. Okay, so the next security devices is the access control. So this is what you will find in hotel. So to allow the right people with the correct authorization to in an area, we need to have this access control lah. The access control can come in access card or fingerprint or passcode. So depending on the area you want, depending on how secure you want it to be, being the higher secure is a thumbprint. So if you have a system in place, you'll be able to deter intruder from going into the area that is not allowed for access or if it has if the area has very important information inside. So this is where you want to have your access control. So if you have a lot of money, and then if you want a very nice security system, you might consider putting a thumbprint lock device for your front door. But then that device will cost about 1,000 to 2,000 lah, so it's not cheap lah. So it's nice to have lah if you got a lot of money to put this sort of device on your door. So you don't have to use key to every time access the door. Okay, so this is the last part, which is the building automation system, BAS. Okay, so a building automation system, the purpose is to monitor and control of building services such as time clock, temperature switches that provide the on and off signal to M&E system, and then to provide the facility necessity for maintaining a comfortable working environment. So this system is what you will find in a condo or in a very commercial big building. So in this building automation system is where all your security, all your electricity, ventilation, water supply is being monitored and controlled. So if you have a CCTV in place, if you have an intrusion devices in place, all this information on what is happening at what floor can be obtained in this particular room. Say you want to control the aircon in a ground floor. You want to make sure that you're not wasting your electricity bill. So what you can do is during normal operating hour, you can ensure that the temperature of the aircon is running from 9 to 5 or 10 to 10, from 10 in the morning to 10 in the evening. And then if you would like to conserve the electrical energy, that's what you will do lah. If you want to conserve it further, then you may consider cutting off the electricity maybe from 3 to 5. So this is additional feature in which additional things that you can do if you have a building automation system. You can control the aircon, you can control the temperature, and then you can control the mechanical and electrical system. So it's a centralized system in place with a room and all the electrical connection to all your services utilities connected in a single monitoring system, a single control central. So this single control central is able to monitor all the usage from electrical, water, ventilation, security, and even fire control. It will be able to detect any fire happening in the building. So you only find this in a condo or a commercial building lah, in a very very big building. You will not have this in your house lah. So this is what you usually have for a property manager. If you have a mall, then you can have a very prominent manager come in, or very prominent property manager come in to take care of your building on when to on the temperature, on the aircon, how high and how low should it be adjusted to, and then providing Wi-Fi to the building, and then off and off, on, off and off of the lighting. So all of this can be controlled remotely from this building automation system or the room. So this is additional features, and they are actually connected either through cable or wireless through the internet. So usually you will want to connect all the thing wireless. You have devices and a repeater, which and all your devices is able to receive the information wireless. So wireless is the way to go lah, which means the device itself and you have a device to send and receive the information without cabling. So this will send all the information to all your devices to let them know what to do lah. Okay, so this is it for your topic 5, telecommunication and building system. So hope you guys understand, and that's about it lah.